guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Hills. I am mum of 2 boys, expecting my 3rd. This is absolutely my last pregnancy, so I wanted to make sure that I documented this journey, and this week we are covering week 20 of my pregnancy update. In terms of symptoms this week, it's been relatively uneventful, but I have had a lot more energy. I almost feel like I have the beginning stages of nesting, you know, just this desire to clean a lot, to get the house in order. I actually developed a new cleaning routine this week that I could slot into Monday to Friday and to try and get it done in between work, which in an ideal world means that the weekend comes and I have nothing left to clean. Unfortunately, work took over a little bit on Friday, and so I didn't quite get to Fridays, which meant it did spill over a little bit into the weekend. But that is what I mean about energy levels. Normally, I just can't get to that stuff. I have to focus on one thing at a time, and during the week, it's mostly work. I've also been getting lots of movement, which I was able to see on the 20-week scan this week as well. The movement is, I mean, it just feels so amazing at this point. It is enough that I think you could feel it if, you know, you put your hand on my belly. The problem is anticipating when that's going to happen. So I'm making my husband kind of sit with his hand on my belly for a long period of time, and whilst I can feel movement, it's only occasionally that the kick is strong enough for him to feel, and that moment hasn't happened as yet. Heartburn is a bit of a beep, but it's not happening consistently at the moment. I do feel better if I have Rennie on hand, but it's not after every meal. I do think that it will happen way more consistently as I start to get a bit bigger, because I remember getting that with my first 2, and it makes eating and drinking less enjoyable when you know that inevitably minutes later you're going to get that heartburn again. I started to struggle a bit with sleeping this week, which I thought was coming. I am really paranoid about sleeping flat on my back and trying to sleep on my left hand side as much as possible, but it was starting to get uncomfortable just sleeping in that one position, and so I did get myself a pregnancy pillow, which so far I love. In my last pregnancy, I got a pillow that was huge. It was literally like another bed. This time I went for a much smaller option. Got it from Amazon, and it's called, I think you pronounce it Nemo. I mean, it's one of the best sellers, and there's lots of different cushion covers that you can get with it. It's quite firm. It's maybe not as soft as your normal pillows, but it's definitely supportive. And of course, it's going to double up as breastfeeding pillow, is going to prop up the baby when they're at that stage of sitting up, or maybe just needing propped up when they're lying a little bit. And so this will definitely be coming in handy. 20 weeks here in the UK is a really important time, because this is when you get, for most of us, your second scan from the NHS. That's a big scan for those who haven't found out the sex of the baby yet. We had, so we just got the sex confirmed. It's definitely another boy. Also the scan where we go into lots more detail about the anatomy of the baby, about the critical organs, even about things like the facial structure. So is there a cleft palate, for example, that they can try and pick up on? It's really, really reassuring from that perspective. My baby part of the scan was brilliant, and I was actually starting to get a little bit kind of cocky as we were going through that scan. I am 40, actually, just turned 41, and so I have been a bit anxious throughout the pregnancy about whether we're going to come across anything that might push me out of the low risk category. And whilst there wasn't anything with the baby, there was something with the placenta. So I'm not a doctor, but there is arteries that go from the placenta to the baby, carrying oxygen and blood, obviously critical to the baby's growth and development. One of my arteries, I think it was the left one, so it's called the uterine artery. One of them seems to have a bit of a curve or something in it that is limiting the blood and oxygen supply to the baby. It's not affecting the baby's growth right now, but it does indicate high risk preeclampsia, therefore impacting the growth of the baby. Obviously, that's made us super anxious and worried. Although ironically, you shouldn't be getting stressed, so I'm trying not to get stressed about it. But it means that there is a risk of preeclampsia. The risk is quite high from everything that the sonographer told us and also what the midwives have said. My blood pressure right now is late 90s over late 50s, sometimes early 100s, so it's very low right now. The challenge with something like preeclampsia is that it can, within a matter of hours, suddenly spike up without the warning that you would expect, such as swelling, headaches, vomiting, those other symptoms of preeclampsia. So, yeah, I'm no longer in the low risk category, and it means that I now have to have a number of other appointments, which of course is reassuring. I'll have extra midwife appointments, I believe 2 or 3 more scans, and I will see the doctor as well. It also raises the chances of the baby coming early, probably through the baby being induced. There is a slight increase in the chance of having to have a C-section as well. I'm trying to think really positively about it all. I have a blood pressure monitor I've got at home now, so I'm checking that a couple of times a day. I'm taking low dose aspirin as advised by the midwife. I'm just trying to stay as stress-free as possible. That's not always easy, of course, when we have 2 kids and I also work a pretty demanding full-time job. I have to say my work have been amazing. I was due to go back into the office actually this week to lead up to doing 3 days a week. My employer has, said that's not something I need to do, so I will continue to work from home for the rest of this pregnancy. I will probably work to get my maternity cover quite early so that I can do a decent level of handover, or worst case scenario, if I had to go out sick because of preeclampsia, or if I had to take my maternity leave early, I will hopefully have someone in place. So that is not brilliant news, of course, but on the plus side, and there's always silver linings to everything, the plus side means that I can ease some of the mum guilt with my 2 kids that I am already feeling about returning into work, returning into the office. And that is that I will just get to be with them a little bit more. I think that most people having a 3rd child probably do struggle with mum guilt. Maybe even having your 2nd child, going from that only child to 2 also induces the mum guilt. I mean, let's face it, everything induces mum guilt. But what I've been recognizing is the really specific needs of each of my kids. So my eldest just turned 11. He is coming into exam period in his last year of primary school. And I was saying to him this week, we really have to focus so hard on your maths. We'll do times tables every day. We'll do exercises just to give him the confidence to hit those exams. And he said to me, it's just not realistic, Mum, that we can do that with you being pregnant and sometimes tired. I mean, this isn't feasible. He's really mature for his age. And of course he can practice his times table independently of me. So there was a little bit of manipulation there. But it also just made me realise, he needs me so much in these final few months of primary school. And the baby is due right when he is due to start high school. And so I just want to make sure that I can give as much attention to him as possible. My 5-year-old, on the other hand, is really great, high energy, incredible little boy, but he has this habit of wanting to wake up in the middle of the night and come into bed with me and cuddle, and he's such a kicker. He kicks like crazy. He cannot stay still. So there's no way me, my husband, and my 5-year-old can stay in the bed together. And so we end up, you know, 2 of us, me and the 5-year-old, either have to kick my husband out, or if he's in the deepest sleep, we have to go to another bed. And that is not going to be feasible when the baby is here. There are a few habits that I definitely need to get him into ahead of the baby coming, and more independent sleep is definitely going to be one of them. So as I said, a bit of a longer update this week. Hopefully next week, will actually be less eventful. Here is the all important bump shot. So hopefully you can see this is bump week 20. I'm actually 20 weeks and 5 days today. You've probably not seen a huge difference from last week. I'll just take that down a little bit. It's probably roughly the same, but quite high, carrying quite high and round. But this is it for week 20. Thank you so much for following along in this journey. Please do subscribe, give a thumbs up. If you would like to see more of the daily updates of working life, family life, lifestyle in general, then please do follow on Instagram Work.Life.Mum or on TikTok. See you next week for week 21.